Hey everyone, before we start the show, a quick word from our sponsor, the American Nurse Association. This is a professional community that has helped us both when we were nursing students and now professional nurses. It has a ton of great resources and use for all nursing professionals.
Listen up, nurses and nursing students. Summer is here, and summer is a perfect time for you to brush up on your nursing skills. And that is exactly why the American Nurses Association is offering 25% off their courses, workshops, books, and their whole website. Use code SummerSale21 at checkout for your discount.
Go to nursingworld.org to get all the latest information there, or click the link in the description to find out about the sale. Don't forget, sale ends September 6th. You don't want to miss out.
Happy studying.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode with your boys, Peter and Matt. How you guys doing today? Hope you guys are enjoying your day and having a beautiful one. If you guys like this podcast and find any value in it, don't forget to comment, share with your loved ones. This is how we grow. This is how we grow organically. And this is how we get motivated to keep on producing this high quality content. Thank you guys for tuning in. On the show notes underneath, when you click on this episode, you'll find Cup of Nurses, the Frontline Warrior Shop, and all this good stuff, as we always have been talking about. Please support us. We appreciate it. And we got some guests coming up shortly. So we finally got that wrapped up. So stay tuned for these upcoming guests this summer. How you doing today, Pete?
I'm doing good, man. It's going to be a good time. Finally happens to get some more guests on now that we have a little bit of a more open schedule. But on this episode, we are going to talk about our most memorable nursing moments, and that's the bad and the good. So nursing, you obviously know, it's a very compassion-based healthcare, and you're always going to remember, certain times of you being a nurse. Some of them are going to stick around and be in your memory longer than others, and those situations are going to be bad, and they're going to be good as well, because Matt and I come from the ICU, and a lot of stuff that we do is intense, and unfortunately a lot of times people pass away, and that's a big component of our job, and it sucks sometimes to say, but there's also certain times where death also kind of brings joy.
Yeah, I think as a nurse, I grew so much. It taught me so much. All those wild experiences, just like you say, good and bad, the talks, this, just something, sharing an experience with somebody that's at the end of life, the stuff that they tell you, the meaning that it takes, and like the way I see it, every little patient kind of like is a thread on a giant canvas in my life in a way. Like I took away from everybody. I even have like an Apple section like with book notes, and sometimes I got recommendations from patients for books that I've read and that I like remember them buying, that I'm so thankful for.
Yeah, it's crazy because we work in a field where the majority of the patients that we get are usually intubated, sedated, so we can't really converse with them. And to us, it is rare to have a patient that is able to actually converse with us. So that's why we like those moments, because majority of our time is usually spent with patients that can't really talk to us. So so usually our most memorable times are either talking with the family or talking to the patient. A lot of times you speak to them on basically their last days of life. And that's kind of double-edged sword, you could say, because those times are filled with sadness and grief, and it's always hard. It always jabs you on the side a little bit when somebody dies. And you also have a positive aspect, especially when you have a patient that is ready to move on. They did a bunch of cool stuff in their life. They're content, and they're able to share with you stories, give you different types of information, and just spend time with you as the last days approach, man. And it's crazy to think about that we're literally with these people at bedside.
And it's nice when you're doing the continuing of care, like working 3 shifts in a row, because usually when you work every other, you don't see that. Usually when you get an assignment, there's so much happening that the family's a nerve wreck. You're calming them down. They're asking a bunch of questions. And it's not till like that second day that you're just like interacting. They're thankful, or you guys already have like a little connection or inside joke. So that's such a rich experience. I'm looking back even most recently. So I have a notification for August, sometime end of August, to call Bud. And it's funny because when I was working in Cali, this older gentleman, and this was not even my patient. This was just a guy that I was looking in the room. He was funny as hell. I'm like, I gotta go talk to that guy. And he kind of like told me to come by. We had a conversation. Great man, taught me so much. He actually ended up giving me his business card, and he's like, "Make sure you call me." So I actually I got rid of the business card, but I have it saved as a reminder with this phone number to just give him a call. And honestly, I might just like say hello, like, "What's up, man?" Like he's in his 90s, but this guy was trying to travel somewhere to the Pacific Northwest to meet up his buddies.
Damn.
So he just goes with this caretaker, and he travels with him.
How old was this guy? Do you remember?
93.
93. Damn. Yeah, it's wild. California has definitely threw us some interesting patients. There was a one time where we had that one. He wasn't an artist. He was more of like a designer on our floor. He was older. I'm pretty sure we ended up giving him like a trach. Remember that back in where we work used to work California,
like
in LA. He was like a designer.
Some clothing brand.
Yeah.
I don't even know the name.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like
I
looked
probably
up the
shouldn't
store.
say because then that's confidentiality.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. We're not gonna say exactly. We're not gonna say, but he's got like a store in LA, and it's crazy how he runs these kind of people. But I remember probably one of my most memorable moments. I'll start with like you could say the sad stuff first, then we'll go a bunch of happy moments. But I remember Christmas a few years ago when I was nurse back in Chicago. Still, we had a family. The patient was in there for a few days, and they stayed there through Christmas, and I was happened to be charged on Christmas. And why it was so memorable was because we ended up having to withdraw care on that day, and we had to talk to the family about taking the next steps, what has to be done. And it was luckily one of those moments where the family all came in, and everyone was calm because things haven't turned for the worse, but we knew like in a few hours it's going to get bad, so let's handle this right now before it gets chaotic. And they were able to come in, and the physician spoke to them, the intensivist came, spoke to them, and luckily made a decision to, if something were to happen, we're not going to take extensive measures. Wow. And that was crazy because that was decided on Christmas. Out of all the days of the year.
And I told you too, like, if I said this, I think multiple times on podcasts, my first patient died on Christmas Eve, and that was that whole crazy story that like, family walked in, security. It was so sad, and I ate dinner a couple hours later when I woke up because it was night shift. But it's wild because it was right before a bowel movement. Like there's like this theory supposedly that if like your patient has a giant bowel movement and they're like sort of on the fence, they're prone to coding.
Yeah,
I don't know. ICU thing
because they vagal.
That's what it is. Yeah. They got to press down and.
Yeah, dude, I remember I had a patient vagal on me in a bathroom, like while walking there. He was trying to like, because the toilets were like low. Where Lois was a bigger guy, and he was trying to poop, but the way he was sitting, he was too big for the toilet, and he couldn't shit, So he like held on to he was walking fine. He just heart failure, so it's always iffy. Especially he was like elevator workup, so it's even more iffy. But he was holding on to like the handle in the bathroom, and he was like kind of squatting over the toilet because he was too big, and he literally took a shit, and vagaled, and he passed out on the toilet.
Jeez.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh
Holding
shit.
This guy.
And then I woke him up real quick, and his heart, like I swear his heart, like the red alarm went on, but he woke up like within a second. And then I'm like, oh shit, let's get back. And then on the way back, he vagaled again, and we threw him on the bed. And then we got him back. We didn't code him or anything. It took a few seconds to get him back, but he woke up again. And after that, I'm like, hey, we're not gonna get you out of bed anymore. I'm sorry, dude. Like, jeez, it was gonna be done in bed. Like he vagaled twice on me, and I think it's so scary. Because you had the heartbeat for like a second, but like
you know what's gonna happen in that instance.
Maybe more than a second, maybe even two, but you don't know if his heart rate's gonna come back or what. This is long 2 seconds. This is a super long 2 seconds. It feels like almost a minute because you're like, is it gonna come back? And it does. But crazy, it happened twice, and I was like, all right, man, nope.
What's also like a wild lesson that I've learned that always I'm never going to forget is we had this ETOH patient. We got him in a rotor-prone bed. Like he was severely septic and multi-organ failure, and he ended up surviving after like 15 days being on the bed. Damn. He actually ended up getting better. He actually got extubated, and he was kind of like the patients, they take a couple days to get back to it, but he still wanted to drink. Yeah. He still was asking for a beer, and it's like everything that guy just went through. He's gonna have to go months into therapy. The thing that put him here, he still desires.
That's crazy.
And it just shows you that like people just don't learn. I'm not saying it's like we're doing everything for these people's lives, and
But we've also never been physically dependent on something in our lives.
to understand that, yeah,
Because because I look sometimes when I had a lot of like withdrawal patients and stuff like that, and I'm like, like I couldn't figure out why they couldn't understand how they have to change their life because like to me it was so obvious, but that's me from looking at from the outside in, and I've never been physically dependent on drugs. You could say, I've never really been physically dependent on anything to want it like all the time and every day. So I'm not sure how that would affect me if I was dependent on something.
to that degree, yeah. Just like the people that take Xanax daily and they just lose track of life and they're just stoned off that thing.
Yeah,
And
or
just
even
whoa.
people that take Adderall, where they took Adderall in school, and school's over, now they have a job, and they can't get off Adderall because they've just been hooked for so long. They don't need it anymore because they're not in school. They don't need it to technically to function to do their job. They just take it because they've been taking it for so long. And if you take it for a long time, especially if you're in increased doses, you're gonna need to taper that down to be able to come off it. So it takes even longer. But yeah, we did an episode about fentanyl back, I don't know, a few weeks ago,
episodes ago, yeah.
Or maybe last episode or a few episodes ago. And yeah, it's crazy. I think that one actor that's really for absence based recovery. He also has a podcast on YouTube. Damn, I can't remember his name right now. But he's like that. He's like a very big activist.
I know who you're referencing.
Yeah, I can't think of his name for some reason. But yeah, he always pushes for abstinence-based recovery because
So
that's
the whole methadone. That's what this was about.
The podcast was about methadone. Yeah,
episode.
yeah, but a lot of people believe that the best way to approach drugs and alcohol and to get somebody out of their addiction is to do abstinence-based recovery, which is completely stopping the cold turkey, which is the best route except for benzos, because benzos you have to taper down in certain psychiatric medications, and Adderall you probably have to taper down as well. So it's a process, man.
Yeah, it's a sad thing. It's just like unlearning bad habits and eating junk food in a way. But
Speaking
it's
of unlearning
10
bad
times
habits, speaking of unlearning bad habits, I remember this patient. I don't want to tell you what he was going on with him because it's HIPAA, and I don't know if I'm gonna get in trouble or not. But it's one of those patients.
What happened to John Doe, bro?
It's one of those patients that always kept coming back, and I swear to God, we saved his life like 3 or 4 times, and he was always a dick about it, always.
After you got back.
Yeah, and this guy was, and when he came in, he was literally like barely alive, man, each time. And I don't know if
Same
he just
attitude.
Yeah, and if he just during his lesson, I'm not sure what the hell the issue was, but always the same situation. He was just, I mean, he had a lot going on in his life, and he had a lot of work done to him too, but still, man, it's wild, man. And I'm never gonna forget him. I'm never gonna forget him in my life because I always remember coming back.
Yeah, the patients when we went travel nursing to Oakland were great too. Just like you said, Cali has a wide variety of patients. Here in Illinois, they're a little bit less like diverse. You just meet rich people that have money. Like
it's diverse here, but different from a different. You could say diversity because here you could say there's more like Eastern European as well.
You learn the streets and the work ethic, and here over there they got people that have money and they travel places, and you get to hear their stories. And it's cool because one time I met like this Hollywood director once, and he looked at my face. He's like, "Dude, you're beautiful, man. You should like go do acting." And I was like, "Thank you, man." You just meet just so much cool people, or people that survive. Like this one guy, Bud. He was telling me a story about why he lives so long, and he's just saying, it's because of courage. Like that's I always like to ask this to patients, like, what's one life advice that you learned? And he said to always be courageous. He said how important it is, like war and all this, and he went back to his father and how he passed away. He said his father lost courage.
Damn.
I know that was so hard for him to say. He's like, I still loved him and I understand, but he just lost courage. He lost the fight at the end. So he just says, just keep on fighting no matter what. Like it's, and that's what life is. It's pain. Pain is inevitable. Just go through the suffering.
Right. It's gonna hurt no matter which path you choose.
And it's just like these little lessons in life that these patients teach you, and it stays with me, and it teaches me so much. And it's almost like, nursing just has such a rich experience. I love it for this reason.
Yeah, especially like travel nursing too. Like you meet a lot of patients here working in the Midwest, and you go somewhere else and you think you've seen and met every patient, and then you go travel nurse, you go to a different state, and it's completely different. People with different dialects, different circumstances, different situations, different opinions, and it's just a cool experience.
Yeah, I like meeting people from Africa.
Africa.
They always have cool
Perspective, I feel
stories,
like, yeah.
perspectives. Like that one lady that started a water business and like dug a well, and now she's selling bottled water in her country.
Yeah.
She's like a nursepreneur basically, and it was telling me all these cool things. And she looked at the podcast and she said awesome things like keep it up and all that. So it's cool. You just connect with so many people.
And you see how people pursue also like their passions outside of nursing as well, which is super interesting because as nurses we have such a good like foundation of like knowledge and education, and we just see a different variety of people all the time, or it almost builds us to be like good in every situation, in every circumstance. So you could basically with nursing degree, I feel like you could take on whatever else you're passionate in, and you're going to be able to get through it because like even with like stress, I feel like we can handle more stress as nurses. So that's going to help you out
Definitely.
in the long run because there's a lot of stresses that come with pursuing other things outside of your career role, right? There's a financial pressures of is it going to be successful? Can I do it? Is it even possible? And like nursing has taught us that there's a lot worse circumstances that you could be in than this moment. Like I know I'm scared, like you said about courage. Like yeah, we're scared, but I also had a patient, that came in looking fine and then ended up dying 4 days later, right? So you have that kind of different, you could say stressors because you're not going through a stress that's life and death. You're just going through a stress in life. And you throw the financial stresses in there, which sometimes feels huge, and it is huge, but it's not as big of a stress that you have in the hospital where you're dealing with life and death situations. So that prepares you for almost any challenge that you want to endure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even one thing that I think about now is, and this is like the ugly part of nursing, but it also empowers me and motivates me, is seeing, I've mentioned this before, is regret in a patient's eyes.
Yeah.
When they tell you stories that they wanted to, they could have, they should have, they couldn't, just making a sorry excuse, and regret looks so bad because when you're older you want integrity and look back and have that, and that always motivates me to just don't say no to experiences like traveling or doing this or going out or going on a boat or somewhere to the city. Just even little things I've never tried, just go for it.
Yeah.
Because I know how bad it looks when you say no, or you look back and you just
Have that regret.
it's suffering. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you suffer through the moment of not doing it, and then you suffer through it later on in life, looking back at why didn't I do this when I had the chance? I really wanted to do this. Now I'm never gonna have a chance to do this. And I'm not sure what happens after we die. Maybe you get reincarnated and do those things that you really wanted to do, but who knows? You're not sure. So that's why it's so important to, I don't want to say live out your day like it's your every day like it's your last, because you actually need some common sense, right? You shouldn't do certain things on a daily basis that wouldn't make any sense. But try to get new experiences, like Matt's saying. It's all, life is an experience. It's literally like a giant trip. If you're on a vacation, that's a trip, right? You're literally just going through life. And you make life whatever, like life is whatever you literally make of it. If you're going through negatively and always complaining, that's not a very fun vacation.
Even if we're here back in Chicago, we're taking a nurse break and we're hanging out, and every single day we're meeting up to grind for this podcast and all this stuff that we have coming out. That's a whole experience within itself, and it teaches you just to live and enjoy the moment and embrace it.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that nursing taught me, is I've learned how to listen more. And then there's a reason why we have 2 ears and one mouth. And I was always a bad listener. I know that. I'll accept that as a fact. Matt got definitely better through listening to the elderly, because they take time, and you have to develop that patience to listen to them.
Yeah, I think I've probably learned to listen a little in the hospital, but I think the biggest place that I actively practice active listening was probably the sauna back in the gym I used to work out when I was fresh out of nursing school, and I was just nursing for 1 or 2 years, because you don't really understand or know how much knowledge some people have until you talk to them and actually listen to them. And And like the majority of people that I spoke to were basically people that were kind of my circle, like my parents' friends or my friends' parents. So I really didn't talk to much people that were like super old, you could say, not to be rude or anything, but like in their 60s and 70s, things like that. And I haven't
You're a
really had much
teenager,
exposure. Yeah. So I never really knew how much knowledge they had until I actually started to listen to them. And that was probably, like I said, in the steam room of my old gym. Because you just sit there for like 20, 30 minutes sometimes, trying to get the heart rate up, burn some fat, dehydrate yourself for a little bit. Step on that scale, you feel good because you just dropped like 3 pounds in half an hour because you just sat in, in a little room that dehydrates you. But you would, just to bear that heat, you would need to talk to people just to get your mind off the heat. And they would just share so much cool stories. They would like give me recommendations to places to visit in the area, what they did for a living, and how like what you should do, how you should invest money. Like I learned so much random stuff through them, and it's so cool. Like even like this, I remember one interaction I had. Doesn't pertain to work, but I was at a Starbucks randomly reading like Elon Musk's autobiography or something like that, and like a random person comes up to me, and he was an older guy too, and he had a conversation. He actually introduced me to like the Y Combinator website.
Oh yeah, he told me about that.
Yeah, and he told me about it. And he was working on some project where he wanted to create free energy, and it was just like, and he was trying to tell me explaining to me how he could do it or how he could build a generator. But I didn't fuck what was going on. I was just on nursing school. I'm not no engineer or whatever he was. I never saw that dude again. But like I always go on Y Combinator every so often, and like I read the forum, and you just learn some cool stuff on there.
Yeah, just being open minded and listening is a beautiful thing. It's also funny with the patients. I was taking care of a patient, I guess, really, really well. And I had a Google review put out on the hospital website. And it was like saying, oh, that cute nurse Matt. Something about, wow, what a Polish stallion. I'll never forget that because all the freaking nurses on the unit like screenshot or just laughing about it.
Oh, that's so funny. That's cool because that review's gonna stay there forever.
Yeah,
and I'm not gonna take it down because it's a positive review.
It's a positive review.
Yeah,
it's funny because the hospital actually commented on it. I just forgot what it said.
Oh, that's so funny. It's so cool. Yeah, man. Hospital, like I don't know, man. Working in a hospital teaches you a lot. You get to, especially working with adults, you get people of kind of like you could say all sorts of ages, but they're all adults and they're usually all older than you. Especially like if you're 20s. Most of your patients are like 35 and above, 40 and above, depending on where you work and how acute it is and what your specialty is. But you just learn so much from them because they've experienced life a lot longer than you have, and they have so much to teach. And even those patients that are assholes, they teach you something as well, and that's to not be an asshole.
Yeah, literally.
Because you know how it feels to be on the receiving end of it.
That's a very good point. Oh man, there's something special about nursing. Even the patients that randomly put foreign objects into places they're not supposed to. Even taking care of those guys are interesting.
I haven't had a patient like that.
I had a patient that accidentally put like a contact bottle, up there, got stuck, bowels perfed. Had to get a little quick resection and pull that out. And then it's also mind blowing because on the MRI there was like, you could tell it was like half the solution was there.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Man,
that's so funny.
Yeah, the nursing just shapes you in all types of ways.
Yeah, you just like you see crazy shit, you deal with crazy shit, and you learn shit, you don't learn shit. It's a bunch of shit.
I think what's also cool about nursing is a lot of people react to life. And what happens with nursing, it teaches you not to react. So you know how we develop that tolerance to high stressful situations, and then we could just take life a different way. We learn not to react.
Yeah.
As a nurse, definitely dealing with death and dying, any situation in life I could kind of like think about. Even I feel like in jiu-jitsu, nursing probably could play an interesting role where I'm more calm and assessing the situation instead of being reactive.
Yeah, I feel like nursing's also made us more relaxed, but damn, I forgot the word I'm trying to use. But I remember when we were on the lake and we were chilling, I was chilling on a pontoon, and I was just like chilling. Like nothing was going on.
What does that mean, just so people know?
What?
We're chilling, just
I'm
not
sitting
thinking,
there.
just sitting.
Just
Were you
sitting
drinking
there.
anything?
No, I was drinking. I was just sitting on the pontoon and just like just like enjoying the moment. You could say just being
Everything there, yeah.
you know, because I didn't think about it at the time, but now that I look back at it, like I was just appreciating the moment, and like nursing has definitely shown me to appreciate the moment more. Like just these like little things, like sitting on a pontoon, look at the city, something so simple, just because you could be at a lot worse place than that.
It humbles you, especially with somebody that's like people that have big egos. Nursing is perfect for you because it levels you out. It just shows you how precious and how precious life is.
Or it blows it up, because there's ego. Nursing can definitely blow up egos. Because it definitely like blew my ego up sometimes too in different situations. Like,
Especially those
let me take care of
ICU
this.
nurses, right?
Yeah,
They think
yeah.
they're hot shit in the hospital.
Yeah, but like we a lot of times we do it unintentionally. Like we have the best intentions in mind. It's just a little testosterone.
It is.
Never hurt nobody.
It is human nature.
Yeah.
I also love the times in nursing when patients come back, and sometimes they give you things. Sometimes it's just them. There was a patient that had some kind of deadly reaction because she was immunocompromised from the rheumatoid arthritis medications. She was way too anxious to get off the vent. Plus, her tidal volumes were bad. Like she was just hyperventilating all the time. And the husband was a UPS manager. Always came by. We always talked about stocks and investing. That's the time I wish I bought Aurora Cannabis, because we're talking about cannabis companies to invest, because Canada was allowing during that time for it to be sold. So the stocks boomed.
They're low. Like they're low, right?
Yeah, it wasn't a positive investment because I bought after the hype. You know what I'm saying?
One
Like
of those.
I bought when everybody already knew Canada's going into the market. It was too late. Should have listened to the guy earlier. But it's awesome because he came back after like 6 months later, and he showed us photos of her. The trach was out. She was chilling with the grandkids because, and patients bringing their own blankets in. It almost doesn't feel like a room sometimes. You're just like lost in the sauce with the family, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, what's cool? Looking at old photos of people, of patients. I remember because I used to, like when I first graduated nursing school, I worked at the hospital, but also I worked 2 jobs, and I worked at the nursing home, like the rehab center, for a little bit. And it was always cool to look at, old people, how they used to look back in the day. Like it's so interesting because they look completely different now.
Yeah.
Always blew my mind, like, especially in the ICU when you have a really sick patient and you see them and you see how they look, and they could be like 40 years old, 30 years old, but they look completely different from how they actually look when they're healthy. Completely different people, and it's mind blowing how you could deteriorate like that.
Especially when we see them full of edema, and usually in the ICU they just got extubated. They're puffy and they're bad. They're not shaved. I always admired those nurses. They go like the extra mile and like shave their patients and shape them up. I've done it a handful of times, but there's nurses they're like, okay, it's Thursday. They have like conditioner in their like locker room, and they'll like bathe that specific patient. And that's the connections that they develop.
Yeah, that's cool, man. There's a lot of nurses that really go above and beyond.
Oh yeah.
Massage the feet,
Yeah,
lotion
I'm
the feet.
a great nurse, but there's just some phenomenal nurses. So shout out to all of you that are listening that are those nurses.
Yeah, those extra nurses. Those extra nurses are the best nurses too. Respect.
Yeah, you always have a good time for them or with them. They always help out. They're usually on top of it.
Yeah, a lot of good times.
Do you ever think you're gonna just walk away from nursing?
Probably, but maybe not fully. I feel like
Because you have the love for helping people, and medicine is just medicine.
Yeah, I'll step away from probably nursing, but not the helping people portion of it.
Or you might be helping people on a larger scale, or you're gonna be helping nurses on a larger scale without even knowing.
Yeah, you never know. But yeah, always want to help people, I guess. Gotta keep on helping.
Exactly.
Gotta help ourselves too, though.
Let's wrap this one up.
Any other memorable moments? There's a few patients that I remember that are a bunch of assholes, but I'm gonna
Save those guys.
Yeah, save those for a funny episode or something.
Yeah, I have a lot of. I'm having flashbacks of just like patients right now, like a schizo patient that like went to a different patient's room, and like was trying to take a like a shit in the patient's room. He was screaming, and she's the same lady that was there for like a month because she was waiting for placement. I'm just folding napkins. Jeez.
Yeah, I remember some transplant patients too that went through some shit. Yeah. Till next time.
Yeah, nursing's amazing. So, to all the nurses, I know you guys have your best moments. So let us know if you have any interesting ones that stand out. We'll be willing to share them on the show. Have a great day, guys. Take it easy.
Thank you for your time. Goodbye.
Peace.